Hello and welcome. Man, YouTube is absolutely crazy. They are doing everything they can to make their platform essentially as unusable as possible by small creators because they don't want small creators. That's been my thesis for years. I will stick to it until I see proof otherwise, but everything they do just says we don't want small creators. So, over the weekend, there's this big hullabaloo where accounts were just being deleted. Like, I caught the kind of tail end of this because I saw like Markiplier talking about it. I didn't know what was happening. Like, my account was fine. Apparently, lots of people were getting hit by this. Hundreds, maybe more accounts. I don't know. I don't know. It was a big deal. That kind of accompanied this email that I got that said, "Hey, we're changing our terms of service." I didn't think anything of it when I saw that email on Saturday or Sunday, whenever it came in, because websites change their terms of service all the time. It's always in the negative for me, the human user. It's always in their favor, and there's nothing you can do about it if you want to keep using their website. So I didn't think anything about it. Well, when that stuff started happening, I'm like, what is in this? What is actually in this document? What is in this stuff that they've changed? And it turns out that there's not really a whole lot of changes. There's a lot of clarifying language, which is pretty standard. Because they're like, you know what? There's a little loophole in the language here. We need to close that down so that nobody can take advantage of it. It happens. The one thing that's different, though, I got this highlighted here, and it just says, hey, if you're not commercially viable, we're going to terminate your account, or we could terminate your account. Now, this could mean a lot of different things. This could mean like if you're a channel like mine, where you have tons of videos and they get, on average, probably 10 views, but occasionally there's like this big breakout video that gets 100 or 1,000 or something. Uh, Probably not economically viable from a cost to service me. Like that takes disk, that takes bandwidth. You're not getting a whole lot of value from what I'm putting in. I'm not monetized though, so a lot of the changes that they talk about are really aimed at monetized accounts. So maybe I'm not economically viable from that perspective, but it also protects them against the case where, say for example, you offend somebody. Like let's say your name starts with a P and it goes ew, and you can figure out who I'm talking about from the rest of that, right? So let's say you're him and you've done something stupid for controversy to get clicks and views, and now the New York Times is writing a hit piece about you. Guess what? That draws bad press to YouTube. Bad press is always not commercially viable for a big corporation. If you're an individual person, you can actually turn bad press into making money. If you're very adept at business, you can turn bad press into making money. Like this has been done. There's that old saying, there's no such thing as bad news. It's true to a great extent. It's not true like universally, but to some extent it is absolutely true, and there's no such thing as bad press. Oscar Wilde says something like, the only thing worse than being talked about is not being talked about. But the other part of this is, and you may recall that there's a presidential election coming up in about a year. What if you are a major technology company, a primary driver of discussion? I'm sorry, my headphones battery's low, so I'm actually holding this. If you're wondering what I'm holding here, it's the charger for my headset. Uh, let's say you have a big say in the discussion, whether you're Facebook or, well, I don't know if Twitter has a big say in the discussion because Twitter's mostly used by weirdos like me and political junkies and reporters. But, I try to talk about comic books there. It usually doesn't work, but I sure try. Uh, Twitter, Facebook, YouTube. Gosh, what other big platforms are out there anymore? Like that are big. I guess Instagram be a big one. Like if you're on one of these platforms and stuff happens, people post memes, whatever. Well, let's say you're thinking the wrong thought. Now, I'm not going to like use examples, but whether you're on one side, sorry, there's my hand, one side or the other side, or up here or up down here, or like this, or however, whatever positions you have, somebody who's running that goes, I don't like what that person's saying. They're opposing my candidate. We need to find some way to get them off of this platform. Well, in the past, they would just fabricate some excuse or whatever, but now all they got to do is gin up a little Twitter hate mob. You know, they get like 5 people to start retweeting with all their sock puppet accounts, and they go, "Oh, you're controversial. That's not commercially viable. You're bad for our platform's image." Boop, you're off the platform. And it's really easy to gin up a hate mob for like anything. It really is. You know, whether you're pro this or anti that or just completely indifferent to the whole affair, it's pretty easy to gin up like a group of like 10 people who will just go hog wild and tweet about it nonstop. Because Twitter's full of weirdos. As one of the people on Twitter, I assure you, it's full of weirdos, which may include me, depending on your definition of weirdo. So this really isn't a change, but it's a justification. It's something that lets them legally indemnify themselves for the things they want to do anyway. That's not the only change, though. I just clicked over here to this next tab, the upload page. You are legally required to comply with the U.S. Children's Online Privacy Protection Act and other laws. You're required to tell us if your videos are made for kids. Use the new upload tool. Learn more. Now, here's the thing. That law doesn't fall on me. That law falls on YouTube. They're the ones providing the platform. They're the ones that have to do the due diligence. All they have done is they've gotten a settlement with the government because, let me scroll up here. These changes are required as part of a settlement with the U.S. Federal Trade Commission and New York Attorney General. They lost a lawsuit. They went out of a lawsuit. They were like, what can we give you to make you stop hurting us? Please, please, Attorney General, please stop hurting us. Well, if you rate all of your content according to the law and these guidelines that we've created, which those guidelines absolutely should exist, guess who should be responsible for them? YouTube, not you, not me. I'm not a giant corporation with $1 billion in the bank. YouTube is. In fact, YouTube essentially has an infinite bankroll because they've been losing money for forever, but they generate so much data for Google, or I guess for Alphabet, I should say, that they're still a commercial winner. But if you want to drive people off of your platform, what are the things you do? Well, you make it more and more and more and more difficult for them to operate on it. And you ratchet it up bit by bit. So there was a time on YouTube when the copyright system didn't exist. Okay? Then there was a time when the copyright system existed, but it didn't really do a whole lot, and people had to manually flag stuff. Then it became automated. And then it became automated and completely abused by everybody. Now we're throwing in, hey, you got to do this extra thing for all of the videos you've ever uploaded. And if you get it wrong, you're in trouble, son. You know why? Because the federal government will fine you for up to $42,530. There we go. I said it. I got it out of my mouth. Now, odds are somebody like me, if I misclassify like my dog video, which I probably did, I don't know. To me, that video is not for kids. That video is for my friends. But somebody can go, well, that video is intended for children. No, it's not. It's intended for my friends. Gosh darn it. It's intended for my friends. Every channel on this, or every video on my channel is intended for my friends. Now, the group of my friends, it's kind of a broad category, but if you're a kid, I don't want you watching my stuff because I might be playing Rocket League with Six and he swears. I might be playing Endless Space with somebody and he swears. I might be playing, I just played Out of Space. Well, if Collateral Damage Man had sworn, it's not for kids. Regardless of what you think, none of this is for kids. It shouldn't be taken that way. That's not the only change they've made, though. You know, there's the COPPA change, but there's also the other FTC guidelines that came out like a couple days before this about how sponsored content, paid promotion, that kind of stuff should work. And we're going to go into like the two groups that this is aimed at, but it's not going to fall on them. It's going to fall on you. It's going to fall on me. The other change is just, hey, you need to say in your video, if it's long enough multiple times, that this is sponsored content. You need to have a text disclosure, da-da-da-da-da. Pretty reasonable. It's also kind of hard to do sometimes because I just streamed. I just streamed a game called Out of Space. I got the key from a developer. I'm pretty sure that I didn't actually mention in the stream that I got the key from a developer. I'm pretty sure, like I remember saying it, and I'm pretty sure I said it before this. I actually hit the stream button because I was talking to the person I was going with, trying to help him get things set up. That, hey, I got this key from the developer. Am I going to get in trouble for that? I might. I might not. I sure hope I don't. So I've made sure that the text of the video totally says that down at the bottom. And I think YouTube's got a checkbox somewhere I can check that says, hey, we'll help you say that there's sponsored content here. So I'm going to make sure I check that checkbox. But that and this COPPA rule, they're intended to go after very specific groups of people. The COPPA rule is aimed mainly at channels that do things, well, yeah, two things. One, it's a lot of it is intended like for those channels that do that really creepy. I don't know if you've ever seen them, procedural generated content where it's like Spider-Man and Elsa, uh, and it's weird. I don't know if you've seen those. I've seen one of those. I never want to see another one again. Like I'm talking, this is like gonna haunt me forever. The stuff I saw in that. It wasn't aimed at kids. It just looked like it. It's very misleading. That's kind of what this is aimed at. That's the kind of thing that sparked the investigation. Plus, the other part of it is YouTube collects way too much data. Google collects way too much data. They know everything about you. They know everything about me. They know all this stuff. It's way too much information. They know it all. They collect it all. And that is what actually gets them in trouble with COPPA because they can't do that for children. There's a whole set of laws that says you cannot collect information on kids. You can't target advertising to a specific child. Like there's all kinds of stuff about that. And YouTube was ignoring it for a long time, and that got them in trouble. And so who does YouTube pass the burden on to? Not themselves. They don't go, oh, you know what, you guys are right. We're going to stop collecting all this information. We're going to dial it back. We're not going to have as much targeted advertising. We're going to trust our user base to kind of do the right thing. No, no. They go, what if we make our user base take on all the burden of doing this? That's what they did. So instead of targeting themselves and targeting the creepy channels that are like preying on children, YouTube aims the gun at me. They aim it at you. You. The other stuff about the disclosures, that's aimed at like people that get stuff and they promote it and they have an unethical interest. Like a perfect example, you might remember, I guess it was like 2 years ago now, there were those streamers that were streaming like CSGO. And they ran a CSGO skin gambling website that they promoted, but they didn't tell anybody that they were running the website. That's what that's aimed at. That is exactly what that's aimed at. That's not aimed at me getting a $10 Steam key and going, huh, this game's kind of fun. Like, if I play that game 2 years from now, I'm not going to remember that I got it for free. I'm not going to remember. I'll just be like, oh yeah, Out of Space. That sounds like an interesting game. I haven't played that in a long time. Let me grab Collateral Damage, man, and let's go stream this thing. Let me grab Ninja Weasel. Let's go stream this thing. Let me grab Six. Let's go stream this thing. I won't remember that I got it as a gift. That's a brutal level of requirement. It's absolutely brutal. And those kinds of laws aren't meant to be aimed at the small user, but as you can see, right there on the stream, or the screen, right down, gosh, that goes so far. Let's use the other hand. Right there, I'm liable for all this kind of stuff. That's crazy. That's crazy talk. So, for the most part, a lot of these changes are just kind of like, yes, of course you should have been doing that. Of course you should be doing the right thing. Of course you should. Because there's people that egregiously abuse all this stuff. The terms of service, there's not really a major change that's controversial. They're just doing what they always would have done. They're just doing it more openly and in a way that helps prevent legal challenges to what they're doing. The COPPA changes, they're doing this to cover their butt, not yours. The disclosure rules, they're doing that to cover their butt. Everything they're doing is to cover them and legally indemnify them. And why wouldn't they? If you have the option of being like, hey, you know what? We can pass this burden on to someone else, you should probably take it. Put the cost on someone else and then reap the profit. It's an easy way to make money. It's absolutely an easy way to make money. It's what they're doing. That's my point of view on all this stuff. You absolutely should feel free to disagree with me on any and all these points. If we're all thinking the same thing, then none of us are thinking. Like I sure hope I said earlier in the discussion, the only way we can come to the right decision as a society, as a group of people, whether that group of people is like America or the world, or like the subset of people that make bad videos for YouTube, or the subset of people that make good videos for YouTube and laugh at the people that make bad videos for YouTube. Whatever, you know? The only way we can come to a decision, we can make a decision, is by discussing it. And I kind of aired my thoughts on all this stuff. It's really just a lot of legal indemnification for YouTube. It doesn't fundamentally change anything, but it is darn scary. It is really darn scary. It is scary enough that I'm thinking, do I even want to still do anything on my YouTube channel, you know? Do I even still want to make comic book reviews? Because if I hold these up, somebody out there goes, well, comic books are for kids. Comic books are for kids. This isn't for kids. Batman gets his bat broken, his back broken in this. There's scary stuff in this. But then what's the fuzzy line? If I pick up Psycho Co., which is an all ages book, and I start talking about it and I do a review, is that for children? My argument would be no, because I don't intend my audience to be that way. I sure hope, like, I don't get in trouble for it. Like if I talk about an Archie book, which I've done before, I don't think I should get in trouble for talking about Archie. Do you think I should get in trouble for talking about Archie? I don't. But I could. So is it worth it? Is it worth doing? For my, I think I'm at 899 subscribers right now. Is it worth doing for that? Probably not. I don't make any money doing it. So what do? Do I just move everything over to Twitch? Get rid of my YouTube channel? Well, then Twitch is going to have these same rules come into effect. So where do I go then? BitChute? Well, BitChute will eventually have these same rules. The only way things get moderated, the only way things get improved is if we talk about it. So I hope I've done that, and I hope I've helped you spark some conversation. For another take on this kind of stuff, let me just kind of pull this over here. I like the way he titled this, YouTube Has Abandoned Us, because that's certainly how it feels. That is absolutely, certainly how it feels. And gosh, it's a miserable feeling. So you might want to check out the Quartering and watch his video on this. There's like 2 relevant videos on there at this point that might be worth watching if you want to hear another different, probably more forceful perspective, because he does this for a living. I do this for fun. And those are 2 very different ways to approach working on something. You all have a great day. Remember to like, comment, subscribe, all that good stuff. I sure hope to see you again next time. So until then, you take care of yourselves, and bye-bye.